The Velthrani research vessel, Quiet Observer, had been watching the human colony for 3 years. It floated in the darkness of space, far enough from the planet that no human sensor could detect it. Senior researcher Keth Voran stood at the observation deck and watched the blue and green world below. His 4 eyes blinked slowly as he studied the data on his screen. "Another peaceful day," he said to his assistant. "The humans continue to surprise me with their calmness." Observer Yilna walked to his side. She was young for a Velthrani, barely 200 years old. Her gray skin was smooth, and her eyes were wide with curiosity. "Senior researcher, I have been reviewing the archives again. I found something strange." Researcher, when that class problement with filaments notter, when mekantel.com, I would mekanteljertom, and her gray skin was smooth, and her gray skin was. Keth Voran made a sound that meant he was listening. The Velthrani were a peaceful species. They had no natural weapons, no claws, no sharp teeth. They had survived by being smart and by staying away from danger. For thousands of years, they had traveled the galaxy and studied other species. They wrote reports. They made classifications. They never interfered. "Show me," Keth Voran said. Yilna pulled up a video on the main screen. It showed a human settlement on the planet below. A small child was playing near some rocks. A creature with many legs crawled out from between the stones. It was a venomous animal, native to this world. The humans called it a stone crawler. In the video, a human male saw the creature moving toward the child. What happened next took less than 2 seconds. The man crossed 15 feet of ground in a movement so fast that Yilna had to slow the video to see it clearly. He grabbed the creature, snapped its body in half, and threw it away from the child. Then he picked up the child and held her gently, checking for injuries. "You see?" Yilna said. "The speed, the precision, the violence." Keth Voran watched the video 3 more times. Then he made a dismissive gesture with his upper arms. An instinctive reaction. Nothing more. The child was in danger. Any parent would respond. "No Velthrani could move like that," Yilna said quietly. "We are not humans," Keth Voran replied. "They are omnivores. They evolved from predator ancestors, but they have moved past those instincts. Look at their society. They farm, they build, they raise families. They have suppressed their violent nature." Yilna was not convinced, but she did not argue. Keth Voran was the senior researcher. He had studied dozens of species. He knew more than she did. On the planet below, the colony of New Haven was waking up to a normal day. Jack Miller finished his morning coffee and looked out the window of his small home. The sun was rising over the eastern mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It was going to be a good day. "Jack, have you seen my datapad?" Amy Carter called from the bedroom. "Kitchen table," Jack answered. Amy came out, her brown hair still wet from the shower. She grabbed the datapad and kissed Jack on the cheek. "I have to check on the new seedlings. The tomatoes are almost ready for transplant." "I will walk with you," Jack said. "I need to check the eastern sensors anyway." They walked out together into the cool morning air. New Haven was a small colony. Only 800 people. It had been founded 12 years ago, and it had grown slowly but steadily. The people here were farmers, scientists, and families looking for a quiet life away from the crowded cities of Earth. Ben Carter ran up to them from the direction of the school building. He was 7 years old, with his mother's eyes and a gap-toothed smile. "Jack. Mom. Can I come with you?" Jack ruffled the boy's hair. "Do not you have class this morning?" "Not for another hour," Ben said. "Please?" Amy looked at Jack, and he nodded. "Fine, but stay close." They walked through the colony together. People waved and said good morning. Old Pete from the machine shop asked Jack about a broken sensor. Maria from the kitchen crew gave Ben a piece of fresh bread. It was a community. A family spread across 800 people. Jack had been a Marine once. He had seen combat on 3 different worlds. But that was 10 years ago. Now he worked security for the agricultural sector, which mostly meant fixing sensors and chasing away the occasional wild animal. He liked this life. It was peaceful. It was simple. Amy worked in the greenhouses, growing food for the colony. She had come to New Haven with Ben after her first husband died in an accident. Jack had met her 2 years ago, and they had been together ever since. He loved her. He loved Ben, too, though the boy was not his by blood. "What are you thinking about?" Amy asked. Jack smiled. "Just thinking about how lucky I am." Amy took his hand. They walked in comfortable silence, while Ben ran ahead, chasing a butterfly. In orbit, the quiet observer detected something new. A ship had entered the system. It was not human. Yelna checked the sensor data and felt her blood turn cold. "Senior researcher," she said, her voice shaking. "We have a problem." Keth Voren looked at the data. His 4 eyes went wide. Krix raiders. The Krix were everything the Velthrani were not. They were carnivores, hunters, killers. They raided colonies across the galaxy, taking prisoners for slave labor. They were brutal and efficient and completely without mercy. "They are heading for the human colony," Yelna said. "Should we warn them?" Keth Voren hesitated. The Velthrani had a strict policy of non-interference. They watched and recorded. They did not get involved. But watching a colony be enslaved was different from watching daily life. "We cannot," he finally said. "It is not our place." Yelna wanted to argue, but she knew the rules. She looked at the screen, at the peaceful colony below, at the family walking through the morning light. She felt sick. "What will happen to them?" she asked. Keth Voren shook his head slowly. "The humans have minimal defenses, a small security force with basic weapons. The Krix have over 100 trained warriors." He paused. "I expect the humans will surrender within the hour. It is the logical choice. Fighting would only lead to more death." He began preparing his recording equipment. This would be valuable data for future research. A documented first contact between humans and a hostile species. On the planet below, Jack Miller felt something strange. A cold feeling in his gut that he had not felt in 10 years. He stopped walking and looked at the sky. "What is wrong?" Amy asked. Jack did not answer. He did not know what was wrong, but something was coming. He could feel it in his bones. Ben came running back with a flower in his hand. "Look what I found!" Jack forced himself to smile. "That is beautiful, buddy." But his eyes kept moving to the sky, watching, waiting for something he could not name. The Krix ship came down from the sky like a black stone falling into water. It was ugly and brutal, covered in sharp edges and weapon ports. The people of New Haven had never seen anything like it. Jack was in the security office when the first explosion hit. The communication tower disappeared in a ball of fire and smoke. He grabbed his weapon and ran outside. "All security personnel, report to the Central Plaza," he shouted into his radio. Static was the only answer. The Krix had cut their communications. People were running through the streets. Mothers were grabbing children. Farmers were dropping their tools. Panic was spreading fast. Jack found Kyle Torres near the school building. The young security officer was pale and shaking. He was only 22 years old. He had never seen combat. "What do we do?" Kyle asked. His voice was high and thin. "We protect the civilians," Jack said. His voice was calm and steady. "Get everyone you can to the underground bunkers. The greenhouses have the strongest shelters. But the ship—" "Do what I said, Kyle. Now." Kyle ran. Jack continued toward the plaza. The Krix broadcast came through every speaker in the colony. The voice was deep and harsh, like rocks grinding together. "Humans of this settlement. I am Raid Commander Vex Call. Your communications are disabled. Your weapons are primitive. You have no chance of victory." Jack stopped and listened. Around him, colonists were frozen in fear. "Surrender peacefully," Vex Call continued. "Come to the center of your colony with no weapons. Those who cooperate will be treated fairly. Those who resist will be killed. You have 1 hour. The broadcast ended. For a moment, there was silence. Then the crying started. Children were sobbing. Adults were shouting. Fear was everywhere. Laura Bennett pushed through the crowd. She was the colony administrator. A woman of 55 with gray hair and hard eyes. She had led New Haven through drought, disease, and storms. But this was different. Jack, she said, what are our options? Jack looked at her. We have 40 security personnel. Basic weapons. The Cricks probably have over 100 trained raiders with military equipment. So we surrender? I did not say that. Laura grabbed his arm. We have children here, Jack. 200 children. If we fight and lose, what happens to them? Jack knew the answer. The Cricks did not kill children. They took them. They raised them as slaves. They broke their minds and their spirits. In some ways, it was worse than death. Find Amy, he said. Tell her to take Ben and the other children to the greenhouse bunkers. The deepest level. And then what? Jack did not answer. He was watching the sky. The Crick's ship had landed 2 miles from the colony. He could see figures moving down the loading ramps. They were big, bigger than humans, with gray-green skin and 4 arms. Each arm held a weapon. Jack, Laura said again. What are you going to do? Something was changing inside Jack. He could feel it moving in his chest, in his blood, in his bones. It was something old. Something he had tried to forget for 10 years. The fear was still there, but it was being pushed aside by something stronger. I am going to protect my family, he said. His voice had changed. It was lower now, quieter, but somehow more dangerous. Laura took a step back, without realizing it. Gather anyone willing to fight, Jack continued. Meet me at the Eastern Storage Building in 30 minutes. Jack, be reasonable. We cannot. 30 minutes, Laura. He walked away before she could respond. Amy was already at the greenhouse when Jack arrived. She was helping other parents load children onto transport carts that would take them to the underground bunkers. Jack! She ran to him and grabbed his hands. What is happening? Slavers, he said. Cricks raiders. They want us to surrender. Are we going to? Jack looked at her. His eyes were different. Amy had known Jack for 2 years. She had seen him happy, sad, tired, and worried. But she had never seen this. His eyes were empty of everything soft. They were focused and cold. No, he said. We are not. Amy did not flinch. She had seen something similar in the mirror once. Years ago, when a man had tried to hurt Ben. She knew what it meant. What do you need me to do? She asked. Take the children underground. Protect them, no matter what happens up here. Jack, promise me, Amy. She nodded. I promise. Ben came running over. He was scared. Jack could see it in his eyes. But he was trying to be brave. Jack, are the bad aliens going to hurt us? Jack knelt down so he was at eye level with the boy. He put his hands on Ben's shoulders. Listen to me, buddy. I need you to be strong. I need you to help your mom take care of the other kids. Can you do that for me? Ben nodded, his lower lip trembling. Good boy. Jack pulled him into a hug. I love you, Ben. I love you and your mom more than anything in this universe. I love you too, Jack. Jack stood up. He kissed Amy one more time. Then he turned and walked away without looking back. If he looked back, he might not be able to leave. In orbit, the Velthrani watched everything. The humans are separating, Yilna reported. The females and children are moving to underground shelters. The males and some females are gathering near the storage buildings. Keth Voran was confused. They are not surrendering? It appears not. That is illogical. They cannot win this fight. Yilna zoomed in on one of the human males. It was the same one from the video. The one who had killed the stone crawler. He was standing in front of a group of other humans. Speaking to them. What is he saying? Keth Voran asked. Yilna enhanced the audio. Jack's voice came through the speakers. They think we are soft. They think we have forgotten how to fight. They think we will kneel and let them take our children. His voice was quiet but clear. Every human in the group was watching him with absolute attention. They are wrong. We are not farmers today. We are not scientists. We are not civilians. Today, we are what our ancestors were. Today, we are hunters. Keth Voran felt something strange. It was an emotion he rarely experienced. It took him a moment to recognize it as fear. Increase all recording devices to maximum, he ordered. I want every detail of what happens next. The Krix landing party began moving toward the colony. 150 warriors, armed and confident. They had done this dozens of times before. They expected frightened farmers. They expected easy prey. They had no idea what was waiting for them. The first Krix patrol entered the residential sector at exactly noon. There were 5 of them, large and confident, their weapons held loosely. They had done this before. They knew how colonies surrendered. First came the fear, then the bargaining, then the acceptance. They walked past empty houses and silent streets. The humans had run. That was expected. Prey always ran. The patrol leader stopped. Something was wrong. The street ahead was too quiet. Even frightened prey made noise. Crying. Whimpering. Something. Check the buildings, he ordered. His soldiers moved toward the nearest house. The first one through the door never saw the wire stretched across the entrance. The farming blade that swung down from the ceiling cut through his armor like paper. The others turned at the sound. That was when the humans attacked. They came from everywhere. From rooftops, from windows, from holes in the ground. They were not soldiers. They were farmers, and teachers, and shop workers, but they moved with a speed and purpose that the Krix had never seen. The fight lasted 12 seconds. When it was over, 5 Krix bodies lay in the street. The humans vanished back into the shadows. Vexikal received the report on his command radio. He did not believe it at first. Say again, he ordered. Patrol 7 is dead, Commander. All 5 soldiers. Impossible. Send Patrol 9 to investigate. Patrol 9 found the bodies. They also found the trap that the humans had left behind, a storage container filled with farming chemicals. When the patrol leader opened it to investigate, the mixture exploded. 3 more Krix died. On the quiet observer, Yilna was recording everything with shaking hands. This is not possible, Keth Voran whispered. They are farmers. They are civilians. They were farmers, Yilna corrected. Look at them now. The screen showed a human male crouching on a rooftop. He was an older man, maybe 60 years old. His hair was white, and his hands were rough from decades of farm work. But the way he moved, the way his eyes tracked the Krix patrol below him, was not the movement of a farmer, it was the movement of a predator stalking prey. They have changed, Yilna said. Something has changed in them. Keth Voran watched as the old farmer dropped silently from the roof onto a Krix soldier. The alien was dead before he hit the ground. The predator state, Keth Voran breathed. I read about this in ancient texts. Some species can enter a different mental state when their survival is threatened. The fear shuts off. The higher thinking shuts off. Only the hunting instinct remains. I thought you said humans had evolved past their predator nature. Keth Voran did not respond. He was beginning to understand how wrong he had been. Jack moved through the colony like a ghost. He had killed 4 Krix so far, each one silent and fast. His security team was spread throughout the settlement, using the tactics he had taught them. Not defensive tactics, hunting tactics. He found Kyle Torres hiding behind a water tank. The young officer was shaking badly. I cannot do this, Kyle said. I am not a killer. Jack grabbed him by the shoulders. Look at me, Kyle. Look at my eyes. Kyle looked. What he saw there scared him more than the Krix. You have a choice, Jack said. You can stay here and hide. Or you can come with me and protect the people you love. But you need to decide right now. Something shifted in Kyle's face. It was like watching a door open. The fear did not disappear, but something else rose up beside it. Something older and darker. Tell me what to do, Kyle said. His voice was different now. Follow me. In the greenhouse bunker, Amy heard the sounds of fighting above. Explosions, screams, weapons, fire. The children were crying. The other parents were trying to keep them calm. It will be okay, Amy told Ben. Jack will protect us. But she knew the truth. If the Cricks broke through, Jack might not be there. She looked around the bunker. 23 children. 8 adults. Including herself. No weapons. No, that was not true. She was a weapon. She just had not admitted it to herself yet. Everyone listen to me, she said. Her voice carried across the bunker. The crying quieted. If anyone comes through that door who is not human, I need you to protect the children, no matter what. Do you understand? The other parents nodded. Something was changing in their eyes too. The same transformation that was happening to Jack and Kyle and the others on the surface. The same awakening. Vex Call was getting desperate. He had lost 20 soldiers in less than an hour. His remaining forces were scared. They had never seen anything like this. They are not fighting like civilized beings, one of his officers reported. They are using traps. They are attacking from shadows. They are hunting us. Vex Cal finished. He understood now. He had made a terrible mistake. Sir, should we retreat? Vex Cal considered it. But retreat meant failure. Failure meant death when he returned to his clan leaders. There was no going back. Concentrate all forces. We push through to the center of the colony. Find their leader. Kill him, and the others will break. The remaining Cricks formed into a single large group. Over 100 soldiers, moving together. Strength in numbers. That was the strategy. Jack watched them from the shadows. He smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a wolf, watching sheep huddle together. Good, he whispered. Make it easy for us. He lifted his radio. All teams, this is Miller. They are grouping up. Execute Plan 4. The responses came back. Short, calm, focused. Team 2 ready. Team 5 ready. Team 8 ready. The colonists of New Haven were not defending their home anymore. They were not even fighting for survival. They had become something else entirely. They had become the hunters, and the hunt was about to begin. Vex Cal led his forces through the colony streets. They moved in tight formation, weapons ready, watching every shadow. The confidence they had arrived with was gone. Now there was only fear. Stay close, Vex Cal ordered. Do not let them separate us. A sound came from somewhere ahead. A human sound. A voice. Commander Vex Cal. The Cricks forces stopped. Vex Cal looked around, trying to find the source. You made a mistake coming here. The voice continued. It was calm and quiet. Almost friendly. You thought we were prey. You were wrong. Show yourself, human. Silence. Then, from a different direction. You should have done your research. Humans are not like other species. We did not evolve to be prey. We evolved to be the thing that prey fears. Vex Cal spun around. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. We hunted everything on our world, every predator, every dangerous creature. We drove them to extinction, or we tamed them. Do you know what that makes us? Another voice answered from somewhere else. A female voice. Older and harder. It makes us apex predators. Then another voice. It makes us the top of the food chain. And another. It makes us the thing that hunts the hunters. The Cricks were surrounded by voices. They could not see anyone. They could not target anyone. The fear was spreading through the ranks like a disease. Enough games, Vex Cal roared. Find them, kill them. His soldiers moved toward the buildings. That was when the traps activated. Explosions ripped through the ground. Farming equipment came flying from hidden positions. Colonists dropped from rooftops onto isolated soldiers. The tight formation broke apart in seconds. Jack moved through the chaos like water flowing through rocks. He had a knife in one hand and a pistol in the other. Each movement was precise and efficient. Each strike was deadly. He found a Crick soldier separated from the others. The alien saw him coming and raised its weapon. Jack was faster. He closed the distance before the soldier could fire and drove his knife into the gap between the alien's armor plates. The Cricks fell without a sound. Kyle was fighting nearby. The young officer had changed completely. He was no longer the frightened boy from earlier. He moved with purpose and deadly calm. 2 Cricks' bodies lay at his feet. The colonists pressed their advantage. They did not fight fair. They did not follow rules of engagement. They fought like their ancestors had fought, with traps and ambushes and overwhelming violence. HFY watched his forces die around him. He had brought 150 warriors. Less than 40 remained, and that number was dropping fast. "Fall back to the ship," he ordered. "Retreat." The surviving Cricks ran. They pushed through the colonist attacks and fled toward their landing site. HFY led the way, his forearms pumping as he ran faster than he had ever run before. They reached the ship. HFY charged up the loading ramp and headed for the control room. "Prepare for takeoff," he shouted. "Get us out of here." The pilot looked at him with wide eyes. "Commander, the engines." "What about the engines?" "They are damaged. Someone placed explosives on the fuel lines. We cannot fly." HFY felt his blood turn cold. He turned and looked out the viewport. The colonists were emerging from the colony, walking toward the ship. They were not running. They were not hurrying. They moved with the slow confidence of predators who knew their prey had nowhere left to go. "We are trapped," the pilot whispered. In the greenhouse bunker, Amy heard footsteps above. Heavy footsteps. "Not human. Everyone behind me," she said quietly. The other parents moved the children to the back of the bunker. Amy stood near the door, a heavy metal pipe in her hands. She had found it in the supply closet. It was not much, but it was something. The bunker door shook. Something was trying to break through from the other side. "Mommy," Ben whimpered. "Stay quiet, baby. Stay very quiet." The door burst open. 3 Crick soldiers pushed through, their weapons raised. They saw the children and made sounds of satisfaction. Valuable cargo. They did not see Amy until it was too late. She moved faster than she thought possible. The pipe connected with the first soldier's head with a sound like breaking wood. He went down hard. The second soldier turned toward her, but she was already moving. She ducked under his weapon and drove the pipe into his throat. The third soldier grabbed her. His forearms wrapped around her body, crushing. Amy could not breathe. Her vision was going dark. Then something hit the soldier from behind, and again, and again. The grip loosened. Amy fell to the ground, gasping for air. She looked up to see the other parents standing over the fallen Cricks. They were holding pieces of furniture, gardening tools, anything they could find. Their eyes were wild and fierce. "Nobody touches our children," one of them said. Her name was Carol. She was a librarian. She was holding a broken chair leg covered in alien blood. Amy got to her feet. "Is everyone okay?" The children were crying, but they were alive. The parents formed a protective wall in front of them, ready for anything else that might come through that door. Ben ran to his mother and hugged her tight. "Mommy, you were scary." Amy held him close. "I know, baby, I know." Outside the bunker, they could hear the sounds of battle fading. The explosions were less frequent. The weapon fire was stopping. Something was ending. On the Velthrani ship, Kethvoren and Yilna watched in stunned silence. "The Cricks are trapped in their own ship," Yilna reported. "The humans have them surrounded. 40 Cricks against 30 humans," Kethvoren said. "And the Cricks are afraid. So, the humans have already killed over 100 soldiers in less than 3 hours." Kethvoren was rewriting every report he had ever filed about humanity. He had called them dormant predators. He had said they had suppressed their violent nature. He had been so completely wrong. They did not suppress anything. he said quietly. They contained it, like pressure in a sealed container. And today, the seal broke. The humans moved closer to the Crick ship. Jack was at the front. His clothes were torn and covered in alien blood. His face was calm. His eyes were empty. He stopped 50 feet from the loading ramp and waited. Vex's call appeared at the top of the ramp. He was holding a weapon, but his hands were shaking. "What do you want?" Vex called out. "What will make you stop?" Jack did not answer immediately. He just looked at the Crick's commander with those empty, terrible eyes. "You threatened our children," Jack finally said. "There is nothing that will make us stop." Vex understood then. There would be no negotiation, no surrender, no mercy. The humans raised their weapons. The Cricks had nowhere left to run. "Attack," Jack said quietly. The colonists moved forward as one. The battle for the Crick ship lasted 17 minutes. When it was over, not a single raider remained alive. The colonists walked out of the broken vessel one by one, covered in blood and dirt and exhaustion. Some of them were wounded. Some of them were crying. All of them were changed. Jack was the last to leave. He stood at the top of the loading ramp and looked out at the sunrise. The sky was turning orange and gold. It was morning. The longest night of his life was finally over. He walked down the ramp slowly. His legs felt heavy. His arms felt like they were made of stone. The predator state was fading, and what it left behind was emptiness. Laura Bennett was waiting at the bottom. She had a cut on her forehead and bruises on her arms. She had fought too. In the end, everyone had. "It is over," she said. Jack nodded. He could not find words. 23 dead, Laura continued. 67 wounded. But the Cricks, all of them, every single one, 150 raiders, gone. Killed by farmers and teachers and shop workers. Killed by people who had never held a weapon before today. "The children?" Jack asked. His voice was rough. "Safe. Amy protected them." Something loosened in Jack's chest. The tightness he had been carrying since the first explosion finally began to ease. He closed his eyes and let out a long breath. "I need to see them." He walked toward the greenhouse, moving on legs that wanted to collapse. People tried to talk to him as he passed. He did not hear them. He could only think about Amy and Ben. The bunker door was open when he arrived. He walked down the stairs and found himself in a room full of children and parents. They were huddled together in small groups, holding each other, crying with relief. Amy saw him first. She made a sound that was half cry and half laugh, and ran toward him. She hit him like a wave, her arms wrapping around him so tight it hurt. "You are alive," she whispered. "You are alive." Jack held her. He buried his face in her hair and breathed. She smelled like sweat and fear and something chemical. But she was alive. She was here. "Ben?" he asked. "I am here." The boy appeared at his side. Jack let go of Amy with one arm and pulled Ben into the hug. The three of them stood there together, holding on like they would never let go. "I was scared," Ben said. "But Mom was really brave. She fought the aliens." Jack looked at Amy. There was blood on her hands. Her eyes were the same as his. The same emptiness. The same terrible calm that was only now beginning to fade. "She protected you," Jack said. "She was scary," Ben admitted. "But a good scary." Jack kissed the top of the boy's head. "That is what we do, buddy. We protect what we love, no matter what it takes." In orbit, Keth Voran was completing his final report. Subject species: human. He dictated. Previous classification: Level 2 threat. Dormant predator capacity. New classification: Level 10 threat. Maximum danger rating. Yilna was watching over his shoulder. "Level 10? Are you sure?" "I am certain." Keth Voran's 4 eyes were tired. He had not slept since the battle began. But there is more. The classification is not complete without context. He continued his report. The humans are not constant predators. Under normal conditions, they display cooperative, peaceful behavior. They farm. They raise families. They build communities. They suppress their predator instincts in order to live together. He paused, choosing his words carefully. However, when their offspring or social group is threatened, the suppression ends. They enter what I am classifying as a total predator state. In this state, they become single-minded hunters, with no fear, no hesitation, and no mercy. How should other species interact with them? Yilna asked. Kethvaran thought about this for a long time. Carefully. Very carefully. Do not threaten what they love. Do not harm their children. Approach them with respect and honest intentions, and they will respond in kind. Threaten them, and they will destroy you. He added a final note to his report. New classification term. Contained apex predator. Approach with extreme caution and clear peaceful intent. Under no circumstances should any species attempt hostile action against human settlements. The report was transmitted to the Velthrani homeworld. It would change how the galaxy viewed humans forever. 3 weeks later, a small shuttle descended toward New Haven. The colonists gathered to watch, weapons ready. They had not forgotten the last ship that came from the sky, but this ship was different. It was smooth and gray, with no weapons visible. It landed gently, and a loading ramp extended. 2 figures walked out. They were tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 eyes. Velthrani. Jack stood at the front of the welcoming party. His eyes were warm now, his stance relaxed. The predator was sleeping again. I am senior researcher Kethvaran, the first Velthrani said. We come in peace. We come with respect. We come to offer friendship. Jack looked at the alien for a long moment. He could see the fear in those 4 eyes. The Velthrani knew what humans were capable of. They had watched it happen. Welcome to New Haven, Jack finally said. We appreciate visitors who come honestly. Kethvaran stepped forward. His movements were careful, non-threatening. We watched your battle with the Cricks. We were. Impressed is not the right word. We were changed by what we saw. We do not usually fight like that, Jack said. We prefer peace. I understand now. Kethvaran looked around at the colony, at the people who had transformed from farmers into warriors and back again. You choose peace. Every day, you choose it. But when peace is not possible, you become something else. Jack nodded slowly. We protect our own. That is who we are. Ben came running up, holding Amy's hand. The boy looked at the Velthrani with wide, curious eyes. Are you friends? Kethvaran looked at the small human child. This was what the colonists had fought for. This innocent face. This precious life. Yes, Kethvaran said. We are friends. We would very much like to be friends. Ben smiled. Good. Want to see my room? I have cool rocks. Before anyone could stop him, the boy grabbed Kethvaran's arm and started pulling him toward the residential area. The Velthrani looked back at Jack, with something like panic in his eyes. Jack laughed. It was the first time he had laughed in weeks. Go on. He will not hurt you. Probably. Kethvaran allowed himself to be dragged away by the human child. Yilna followed, recording everything. Amy came to stand beside Jack. She put her hand in his. Do you think we can trust them? She asked. They watched us kill 150 Crix raiders, Jack said. They are not stupid enough to try anything. Amy leaned her head against his shoulder. That is not really trust. No. Jack agreed. But it is a start. Trust comes later. For now, respect is enough. They watched the Velthrani walk through their colony, escorted by an enthusiastic 7-year-old tour guide. It was strange and funny and somehow perfect. We are going to be famous, are we not? Amy said. The whole galaxy is going to know about us. Jack put his arm around her. They are going to know what happens when you threaten human children. That is probably a good thing. And what happens? Jack smiled. It was a gentle smile, warm and kind. But somewhere behind his eyes, the predator was still there. Sleeping but not gone. Never gone. We remind them why humans are at the top of the food chain. Above them, the Velthrani shuttle gleamed in the sunlight. Behind them, the colony was rebuilding. And across the galaxy, other species were reading Kethvaran's report with growing understanding. Humans were not the strongest species, they were not the fastest or the smartest, but they were something more dangerous than all of those things. They were the species that chose to be peaceful. And when that choice was taken from them, there was nothing in the universe that could stop them. The day the aliens discovered humans entered total predator state was the day the galaxy learned a very important lesson. Do not threaten their children. Do not ever threaten their children,